Hello, my name is Kayla Harlan, and my thesis is titled Individualized Instruction Through Gamification. This is a thesis proposal submitted in partial fulfillment of the requirements for the degree of Masters of Arts in Instructional Technology. Over the past several years, as we see a growth of technology being utilized in the classroom, gamification has become a new instructional tool used by teachers. Technology creates new ways of learning, teaching, and assessing. Technology based educational games can address the needs of each individual student. The gaming aspect of diagnostic testing will motivate the students to participate and try their best on the assessment. It will keep the students' attention through the technology game based aspect. This project focuses on special education students in the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade who are in the Pull Out Resource Program. To boost their operations and algebraic thinking skills, the students will work daily on the application freckle, with the goal of increasing their knowledge within the standard. As they work, individualized data is being collected by the teacher, which is how the instructor will then create the individualized instruction for each student. The purpose of this study is to explore how gamification could be utilized as a diagnostic tool. Using gamification in the classroom could be used to identify and pinpoint any student weaknesses. Once the student's weaknesses have been identified, the instructor will then create and implement individualized instruction. The goal of this study was for the learners to be able to show growth and mastery of their skills in the operations and algebraic thinking standard through the individualized instruction, which was created with the gamification data. So the goals and objectives for this project, the goals was that the educator will provide individualized instruction by pinpoint student weaknesses. Educators will pinpoint the student weaknesses by administering a diagnostic tool assessing through gamification. And the learners will be able to improve their operations and algebraic thinking skills through individualized instruction created with the data. The objectives through the implementation of the instructional interventions, the learners will demonstrate a new level of mastery. The learners will participate in the gamification with the ongoing diagnostic assessment through Freckle. The learners will develop their skills through the instruction as well as the individualized instruction. The learners will complete their assessments and assignments in the application of Freckle with at least 75% accuracy. So the two research questions that were looked at here is, does pinpointing student weakness by utilizing gamification as a diagnostic tool increase student mathematical skills through individualized instruction? And does integrating gamification into math instruction increase student motivation? So, students from both groups were given an assessment that were based on grade level standards below their academic level. The assessment included a variety of questions per each objective under the operations and algebraic thinking standards across the 3 grade levels. The purpose here was to identify student weaknesses within the standard. Once their weaknesses were identified, individualized instruction could begin to be created. That was with the pre and post assessments. The motivational survey was also conducted to collect data on mathematics interest across both groups of students. The students were asked to respond to a variety of statements focusing on their mathematics instructional block. For each statement, the student could choose among 3 responses: happy or excited, indifferent, or no interest. The statements on the survey focuses on areas like instructional methods, the application freckle, and how well they thought their teacher met their needs. Through the utilization of the gaming application freckle, student weaknesses will be identified. The diagnostic tool assessed specifically the operations and algebraic thinking skills and standards across the 3 grade levels. Students were assessed on the application and placed at a benchmark level on the application freckle. Students worked through the application, and as they worked, their weaknesses within that skill were identified. Freckle is a differentiation tool that can be used across multiple subjects, specifically math here. This platform allows for the teacher to simply reach each of their students at their own individual level. As students work and complete assignments, Freckle is constantly adjusting and changing to provide work that perfectly matches the needs of each student. Being able to track student progress makes it easier for teachers to identify individual student weaknesses. So based on the grouping here, I was able to identify what skill each of the students were struggling with that week. And then based off of this, I was able to then provide the individualized instruction on the Friday session. So here you can see the timeline of how our weeks looked. So on Monday, the students worked on the Freckle program underneath the Operations and Algebraic Thinking Standard. They did that on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, the students continued, but the teacher checked in for some midweek progress. On Thursday, the data was reviewed by the teacher and the individualized instruction was planned to then be given one-on-one on that Friday. Here are my results for the pre and post assessment scores. My 8 students here, you can see the gray bar is their pre-assessment and the yellow bar is their post-assessment scores. So 63% of the students showed growth in their assessment scores. The mean of the pre-assessment scores was 38.25. The mean of the post-assessment scores was 45.12, and that was about a 7% increase in the overall mean to the scores. When a t-test was conducted, no statistical difference occurred between the pre-assessment and the post-assessment scores. So on March 17th, 2020, my district, Galloway Township, closed due to the health closure with the COVID-19. So due to this unexpected closure, it did force me to end my instructional intervention 2 weeks early. I was able to collect the data of 6 out of my 8 students, and the other 2 students were required to complete the post-assessment while working from home. So in conclusion, the students were able to work at their own pace and ability levels due to the differentiated platform of Freckle. The students were able to identify their own weaknesses individually, and they were provided with individualized instruction based on those specific weaknesses. So the results suggested that the individualized instruction did improve the operations and algebraic thinking skills for the students through the gamification. And by integrating gamification as a learning and teaching strategy, an educator can meet the needs of a wider range of students. Thank you.